right, here we go. As promised, we are going to make a listing agreement. I'm going to go fairly quickly since you guys can pause and rewind and all that good stuff. So here I am in Zip Forms Plus. Sorry, I'm on hold with the county right now. But anyway, all right. So I'm gonna create the documents in Zip Forms Plus. I'm gonna do a new listing. My new listing is this one right here, 1210 Cadence Court, Brandon, Florida. So we're just gonna use that. Here it is. It's residential. I'm going to leave it as active in here and hit go. Okay. The listing agreement that EXP wants you to use is exclusive right to list, and you're going to have to scroll over it and see. It says transition from single agent to transaction broker. That's the one. There's other ones in here that have different types of representation, but this is the one EXP wants you to use. Okay. Open that sucker. This is just an old MLS of the property. It allows me to pull some information. And I'm just opening the property record to pull the information off of that. So here's the exclusive right to list. Some of this is negotiable, and you're going to have to talk with your seller and come to an agreement on this. And some of this, but I'm just going to fill this out as we go and just kind of tell you exactly how I do it. Okay. Let's see if this property record is going to pull up. I'm going to try this again. Hit this. There it is. Okay. So first we're going to put the seller's name in here. Robert A. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste his last name. Copy. Robert A. That. And his wife's name is Cynthia A. There's them. The broker is EXP Realty LLC. This is not your name. Do not put your name in there. The broker, it's really the brokerage's listing. We're going to do a start date. Of today and push out 6 months. 6 months is what? So it's probably January 18th. Here's a property address. Pull the legal description out of here. Broker reserve, lot 16, legal description off the property record. Bam. Personal property, including appliances. This is where you'd write in. Now, this is a listing agreement, so just remember, this is between the brokerage and the seller. So if I write in washer and dryer, and washer and dryer never make it to the purchase contract between the buyer and the seller, then, you know, what's on the purchase contract is what matters. But I like to take a note here and say, well, this is included, this is not included, as far as appliances. All kitchen appliances, washer and dryer, you could write that in there, whatever. The property is not currently occupied by a tenant. That's important because there are tenants' rights that if it was occupied, they would, need to uphold the lease that's in place. Okay. The price is there. I'll probably leave this blank because we haven't agreed on it. and then what type of financing, cash, conventional, and VA. It won't go FHA, it's too expensive. It's not seller financing. We're not using an assumption of an existing mortgage, so we don't have to fill out any of that. We're not going to upfront say that the seller will pay closing costs. If they want to negotiate that in the future, that's fine. All this is good. Display property on the internet except for street address, no. Seller does not authorize broker to display the property on the MLS. We're not going to check either one of those. We are going to use a lockbox system. We'll withhold verbal offers. And then I check these two boxes, which is 6G. Seller does not authorize an automated estimate of market value and does not authorize third parties to write comments on the reviews. Those are directly from the MLS. You'll see those in the MLS. Seller obligations and consideration of broker obligations. All that stuff. You can read that, make it legally known. This is where the seller would kind of have to tell you if there's material facts that they know about that would be a violation of code, or if there's a sinkhole or anything like that. That's your cue to ask those questions. Here's compensation, right? So this is the portion that you're going to need to negotiate. This is total compensation right here. So total compensation from the seller is 6%. Maybe it's 5%. It's whatever you negotiate. And then this talks about the termination. If your seller does not sign with a new brokerage and they were to find a buyer, they were to go under contract with a buyer that saw your marketing, you have a 30-day protection period from the end of your listing. So January 18th, so another 30 days. So that just basically says somebody saw my marketing on January 10th, my listing ran out on the 18th, my seller did not re-sign with another brokerage, and the person approached the seller and said, I want to buy your house on January 25th. There is a protection for eXp Realty that says we do get compensated for that, even though our listing expired, because there's a protection period. Sometimes it's 60 days on there. Again, these are all business decisions for what you want to do in your business. 2.5%. If I'm doing 6, I'll do, of course, 3 there. This is cooperation 3.0 there. For a transaction broker, I leave the rest of these things blank. And then purchase price for a broker or brokerage with no relationship to the buyer. So that basically, to me, the way I always explain that is, so I do that at 1%. And the way that I explain that is I say, say somebody's sister's a realtor, but she's a realtor in Miami, and she's not going to do anything with the transaction. But she wants to be, she has a no brokerage relationship. She's not going to show the house. She's not going to get an inspection. She didn't, she's not even going to write the offer, right? So I will give her 1%, and then I would keep the remainder of the 5%. So that's just what that means. That's how I explain it, at least. So this is kind of the difference. As a single agent, what this means is that if eXp Realty represents the buyer and the seller, that your duties change, right? And so what this all kind of says is you would transition to a transaction broker. So here are your obligations as a single agent, which are different as your obligations as a transaction broker, okay? So, and again, this only applies, so I have a stronger obligation to my client, the seller, if another brokerage were to represent the buyer and sell the listing, okay? It means, I owe them confidentiality and loyalty and obedience and all these things. If you look at what's left out under transaction broker, say I have the buyer and the seller, or say I have the seller and Adriana or Melissa or Ava have the buyer. Well, EXP has both sides, right? So no longer can EXP say that they have confidentiality, loyalty, or obedience. So it actually changes the relationship with both the buyer and the seller. And all this listing agreement does is say we automatically move to transaction brokerage status if we represent the buyer as well. And in every other scenario, we're single agent status. If you want to learn more about that, I don't know, look in your realtor handbook, I guess. So your sellers have to sign right there. This is conditional termination. So this says, I never put anything here, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about it. There are some brokerages that charge you to get out of their contracts. So if Mr. Buyer and Seller, I'm sitting in my appointment, I say, if it's December 15th and you want to end the relationship and we haven't found a buyer for you and we've tried everything and all that stuff, and but our contract goes until January 18th, some brokerages will say, well, you gotta pay me back. It's gonna cost you $2,000 or $500 to end the contract, and here's where it says that. In my business, I don't charge anything. We deal honestly and fairly, and if somebody's circumstance changes and I'm out some marketing dollars, then that's just a chance I take, and so that's a portion of that. It's so easy to forget when you're signing this document, either digitally or in person, to forget number 199. It's called arbitration. The seller must sign there. You must sign it, and Andrew Schock must sign this right here. That's an EXP rule. Under additional terms, you can put some things. Some of the things you could say that are negotiable are if, don't write EXP, but if Doug DeGroat or Jenna DeGroat also represent the buyer, total commission paid is equal to 5%. So if they try to come at me with a commission, I will sometimes do that, and it makes them feel like they got something. The other thing I always write in here, I'm not writing this in here right now because I haven't sat with them yet. I'd be willing to do that if that's what they, the seller's agent will charge the buyer's agent a $295 MLS fee due at closing. This is at no additional charge to the seller. So I like to say that last part just so the seller understands it's not in addition to the 6%. So this all auto populates, and then they have to sign that stuff. Yes, my name is Doug DeGroat. All right, let me finish this up. So here's the document I just made. I'm going on this appointment tonight, so I did just take out the dates because I'll fill that in as well as the price. But I filled everything else out, so it's easy to use. When I go on my listing appointments, I do try to take paperwork with me, especially I don't really know these people that well, and if I can get them to sign paperwork, at least the listing agreement, while we're there, that's the best thing for me. The other thing I take is this paper. It's the owner's authorization to exclude the listing from the MLS. it basically says, you know, if they're not going to list until, you know, we got to get photos taken, do the marketing. If they're not going to list until next week, then we just say, oh, it's going to go on the market on the 27th. And then I'm not in trouble with EXP or the MLS and have them sign off on that. And the last thing I will take with me that I just kind of remembered is the seller's property disclosure, condominium, so it's residential right here. There's the paper, and so that's the last thing that I'll take, and that I'll just print off and leave with them because they have to fill that out. So they have to fill all these questions out. So, and I won't do this, you know, you can do this all digitally, sign it and stuff, but again, where the seller needs to sign on this listing agreement is at the bottom of every page. They have a signature at the bottom of page 3. They have a signature in the middle of page 4, initial, full signature at the last page, and then EXP always wants to know what date you return it to them. So make sure you fill that in, initial there, and that's the listing agreement right there. So a few things to negotiate: time, price, and commission are probably the 3 big things. And then make sure, you know, you say like, hey, we use Supra lockboxes that are secure and only accessible to realtors. I have an app on my phone that opens it, and that's how we keep your property secure. You know, being able to go through this and tell them kind of what's what, and if it comes up. I don't go through every little thing unless they ask about it. You know, most people kind of believe you know what you're doing, and you're going to be fair with them, and they just kind of want to know the details: price, commission, and time frame. The thing that I'm most quickly to cave on is the time, especially in this market. I don't need a 6-month contract. I'll try for one, but if they're like, well, we really want 3 months, then I go, oh, well, fine, you guys, you know, I'll do something like that. Commission, I would love to sell everything at 6%, but we do a lot at 5% and offer 2.5%. It's fine for our business, and we work with a lot of friends and family that do 2 transactions with us, and we'll go to 5% pretty quickly usually. So anyway, that's that. Hope that's helpful, and I'm going to end the video, and I want to see you guys fill out your own listing agreement, and I want to see. We'll go over this next week in training. All right, thank you. How do I pause the video? Come on. Come on. There it is. Come on. Come on. Come on.